Thank you.
How was it?
It's good. Got a lot more room to stretch out.
Sweet, sweet. What's going on, everybody? Dave Mate, and we have. Go ahead. You want?
Oh,
Sorry, bro. You want to introduce
sorry.
yourself?
Hey, Steven. I'm here.
Materos, Steven.
Hey,
We're back again. It's been I don't know, 4 months since the last time we spoke.
it might be even longer than that. It's been a
Yeah,
while.
4, 5, 6 months, man, at least. It's good to have you back one on one like this.
Yeah.
And if anybody jumps in, feel free to jump in. I know we're gonna have some viewers. We already have some viewers, which is good. And it's just an open discussion. So I guess I'll just throw some information out there. Steven will throw some information out there, and we'll have a little discussion. So, what are you drinking right now?
Right now I'm drinking. It's called Urubisi. It's a Shimahong from Santa Catarina.
Yes,
So yeah, drinking that.
Kurupi. Kurupi, like Kurupi, as in the Paraguayan Kurupi.
No, it's called Urubisi.
Urubisi.
Yeah. I
Nice.
I'm sure that's Guarani for something, but I don't speak Guarani, so I have no idea what it.
How do you like it, man?
It's good. I mean, it's just a normal Shimahong. It's Santa Catarina has their own style of Shimahong. It's a little different, but interesting. Like I almost taste like some like cinnamon or something, kind of
Mm-hmm.
almost like a little spice in there. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
but there's nothing in it. It's just erba mach. But
Of course, man. I just the other day when I was drinking the mate cologica, cologi,
Matecologica.
cologica. Oh man, my Portuguese. I was definitely picking up spice on that. That was the first time I ever picked up spice on a herba mach.
Do you know
So
where Matecologica is from?
yeah, it's from Cornell Bianco.
Okay,
Cornell Bianco.
in Rio Grande do Sul.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Hmm.
Yeah, the place is called Cornell Bianco. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but
Yeah, I've
yeah.
never tried that stuff. I saw it in the supermarket when I was down there last time I was down there, but I didn't get it.
Right,
I just
right.
walked past it and saw it.
Let me ask you about the herbas. Obviously, when you were in Brazil, were you buying the herbas out of the bins?
This last trip that I was down there, yeah, I was buying it. Actually, I was buying it in the packages and out of the bins. Just
Right.
when you
Have you
go.
noticed any taste differences for the ones that are open in the bins to the ones that have been packaged?
Um, Usually the ones in the bins are fresher.
Yeah.
The ones that are in the package, they're not that they're like bad, but they typically sit on a store shelf for a little longer. The ones in the bins, just because it's completely open, they have to cycle through. They have to
Mm-hmm.
trade it out really often. So yeah, I mean the oldest stuff that I saw in the bins, because every single bin had a little note card that it was written
Yeah.
like when it was from. And yeah, there was nothing there that was older than like 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So
Nice, man. So you still drinking your herba mach every day then?
every day for the most part, yeah. I mean, I'll switch it up. I'll drink Rosamonte, or I'll drink a Canarias. I just got a
Mm.
kilo of the Canarias Serena. I'd never tried that before, so
Nice, nice.
I'm hitting that pretty regularly too. But I switch it up. I There'll be
Of course.
days where I'll drink a liter of Shimahong in the morning, and then in the
Mm-hmm.
afternoon I'll drink like a half liter of Tereré, and then at
Yeah.
night I'll drink some like Amanda or something just to unwind.
Mm-hmm.
Just mix it up.
Do you find that you could drink more of the herba mach than the traditional, like say Argentine or Paraguayan, or no? For me, I do. That I find that the case, but it might just be me. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I've never really tried to drink a lot of Argentine.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I feel like I could probably drink about as much, but I understand what you mean, just because like it's kind of got a much softer taste
Mm-hmm.
profile, and it's not as hard hitting as the Argentine stuff can be. So I can see how you'd be able to drink
Yeah.
more of the Shimahong. Yeah, that makes sense actually.
Yeah. So lately, I've been getting a lot of questions from people, and maybe this was because somebody mentioned it in the group, the Circle of Drink group.
Hmm.
People who want to actually French press the herba mach.
Oh
What do you
yeah.
think about that?
I know
Is
my
that
buddy.
blasphemous?
I don't care. I mean, if they want to do that, that's their prerogative. I know Clark's been able to do it. My buddy Clark.
Yeah.
As far as I know, he's the only one that's successfully been able to do it on a regular basis. But he says it's really hard to do. Um, I don't know. To me, I would say, I don't know, if if you can do it, go for it. It sounds like it's a little more troll than it's worth.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, I have nothing against it. I just want to get your feedback on it.
Yeah.
I think that people, if they could prepare mate any way they want to prepare it, if they could do it in the French press as hard as it is with the super powdery stuff, then hey man, go for it.
Sure. The only stuff that gets French pressed around here really is tarahui. My wife really likes the tarahui naranja del oriente,
Yeah.
like mandarin orange or whatever. She likes that, and she can't be bothered. She has a gourd and some straws, but she usually doesn't drink into the gourd. She'll just do a French press. So sometimes I'll end up drinking some of that. But I personally almost never French press any much. I don't know. I just
Tarahui, man, that's an interesting brand because I mean, I wish I could say that I love it because it's the #1 brand in Argentina.
Yeah, it's ubiquitous.
You know, so I wish I could say that I love it. But I'm not going to say that I hate it, but it's not a sort of mate that I could see myself drinking daily ever. Yeah. Only because there's just like this signature taste in it, that one little signature taste. I'm not sure how familiar you are with the traditional Tarahui, but it has like this little like component. I don't want to say rubber, but it is almost like a rubber component, which I just can't get past. I don't know. The Argentinians love it. I just can't get past that little rubber undertone in it. You ever have it?
I haven't had it in a long time. I've had it before, but I drank it with someone else, so I've never bought it and had it in my house. But yeah, the stuff that we have, the mandarin orange, it doesn't really seem to have anything like that. But maybe the orange can mask that up pretty good. I'll definitely have to check out some traditional tarahui again, though. It's been probably close to 5 years since I've had it last.
Yeah, yeah. So let me ask you this. I always ask everybody on the show.
Yeah, go for it.
How do you see, just over, let's talk recently, over the past year, from all the people you've observed and been in touch with, either online and offline, how do you see mate kind of like forming and shaping? This is just a very general question, so it could go in any way, however you want to answer it. Do you see more people drinking it? Do you see more people opposed to it, or what? What's your feelings on it?
I feel like I've seen both. I feel like it's definitely grown in popularity within the last couple of years, and at the same time, because it's grown in popularity, I see a lot more people bringing up the old studies have shown that it causes cancer because this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think there's definitely a lot more room for education still out there because obviously anything, if you eat it, drink it in excess, it's probably not good for you. The studies. I mean, you've talked about this a lot before. The studies that have shown a correlation between the consumption of mate and the throat cancer or lung cancer. It's probable that mate is not the problem there, or mate is not the #1 issue. Sure, it might be depending if you drink like 4 liters of really really smoky mate every day. Yeah, maybe that can add to a problem if you also smoke 2 packs of cigarettes a day.
Right.
So it's complicated, that's the problem with a lot of these medical studies. Correlation, does not imply or causation, most of the time. If it, doesn't prove anything,
Right.
So I don't know. It's if a lot of people want to drink it, and, they feel good about that, then they should. I don't think, I think people are really really eager to try to slam someone down. That's why I think the resurgence in the mate causes cancer idea has come about. But I do think, sorry, I know this is a really really long-winded
answer, please, man.
But yeah, no, I think it's definitely grown in popularity. Definitely maybe more like the tea bags and the French press, that kind of stuff. I've been noticing more and more just regular supermarkets carrying Guayaquil stuff or carrying eco teas. So
Guayaquil's blowing up, man.
Yeah. I mean, I was living in the Bay Area, and Guayaquil's based in Sebastopol, right there above. So I saw it everywhere. A little mom and pop liquor store on the corner was selling the Guayaquil bottles. It's like, what is this? It makes no sense, but
this pops up everywhere, man.
Cool. It's kind of really cemented itself. If only as a very unique niche product. But I think it's definitely cemented itself, and I don't think it's going to go away like it did 100 years ago, where it tried to be popular and then just kind of disappeared.
Yeah, and one of the things I'm seeing, just from kind of polling the emails I've been getting from potential customers, and just friends from people from all over the country, one thing I'm seeing a great lapse in is there's many places throughout the country, which it's not even surprising. I'm sure it won't be surprising to you, that just don't have mate where people want mate. Like, I get emails almost every day from people who ask me, where could I buy mate in my neighborhood, or where could I buy mate, close to me?
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't know. I don't know. And it's just like, I think that's a good thing, because there's so much room for mate to grow throughout this country. The fact that from every state, somebody has called me and said, I don't know where to get mate. I can't find it, but I want it. I want it so badly, so that's just a sign of the health of mate. But at the same time, today I went to a supermarket where I like to buy mate every couple months just to support my local areas. And a box of, I don't know what it was, a box of something that used to be about $9.99 was $14.99 now, just from the past 3 months. And I'm like, wow, like, this is not a joke. Like, mate really is, I thought it did stabilize from 2012, but now I feel like the popularity of mate is actually making the farmers rethink their pricing strategy from Argentina, and from Uruguay and from Brazil. And I'm not totally against that, but I don't know. In my last discussion, what I was against was, what got me a little bit worried is that the local population, the local economies now are having to pay a higher price for the mate because of the global demand that's increasing. So I don't know. I'm not really for that personally. I would like to keep mate the cheapest that it could be for the locals, because it's coming from their country. Yeah. They're growing it. They deserve a premium price, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to get too political with this conversation, but it's just something I want to throw out there.
Yeah, I remember a couple of years ago, probably it was around like 2013, I was talking to an Argentine, and he was saying like, yeah, like, mate is cheaper in the United States than it is here in Buenos Aires. Like, it's kind of there's something wrong with that.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, right? It is sometimes.
Yeah, I know. I've never lived in Argentina. I don't know as much about that, but I know in Brazil, production, especially in Mato Grosso do Sul, production went way down because they started producing so much of it that the price fell.
Yep.
So they started turning, just lots and lots of their plantations where they're growing mate. They turned it into, soybean or something else that, they could make money off of. Farmers got to make money. They got to,
of course,
provide for their family, got to keep the farm afloat. But now, that the global demand for mate, has risen, all of a sudden, there's a shortage because of that. And I think, I remember reading, I think last year, that a lot of the farmers have gone back and planted mate, but, it takes like 5 years before you can start harvesting.
Right. Yeah, it's a very complicated way with plant to grow. Just for people out there who are watching, basically mate plant is back in the day when the Jesuits entered the region of the Guarani, they couldn't figure out how the Guarani were growing mate. They couldn't figure out how it grew, and from my research, the Jesuits kept on asking them, like, how do we grow this? And the Guarani were just like, shh, we're not telling you, we can't tell you, like, we're not giving away our secrets. But the Jesuits, being, shrewd people, they figured out that the seeds had to go through the bird's digestive tract to break down the hard shell of the seed. And that's basically how they figured it out. And the Jesuits were the first people to ever commercially grow yerba mate, turning it into like literally a multi-million-dollar crop of the time. And basically, just to jump forward a couple hundred years, mate is still not a very easy plant to grow. It takes about 5 years just to get it going. The first 2 years, you grow it in a greenhouse, and you nurture it until it gets to about 2 feet or so. Then after that, you got to put it in the soil, obviously, outdoors. And then it takes about 2 to 3 more years of just maturing. Then after 4 to 5 years, you could begin to harvest the plant. And then the plant could be grown just like green tea, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 100 years. And that's it. But it's very difficult to get going. It's not easy, which is why I'm not also surprised that not a lot of countries are growing. Well, hardly any countries are growing it outside of South America. I've heard of experiments here and there. People in California in particular, some people grow it in their backyard, a couple plants here and there. But commercially, as far as I know, nobody's growing it outside of South America commercially. So
Yeah.
in the future, I think that's going to change, though. I know you said you were thinking about growing a plant or something like that, right?
Yeah, I'm working on. I've actually put in some orders. I'm gonna try a little. Got a
That's
little
awesome.
home.
Did you order the plants, or I know you could buy the live plants on online?
I ordered a couple. I ordered some plants.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, you know, to get the seeds to sprout and the propagation and all that.
Yeah.
Even now, you know, you don't have to use a bird anymore. You can. There's other ways to do it, but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
actually, I wish I could. I tried finding this again, but I can't find it. It was like a friend of mine who lives in Hawaii. Went to go visit like a friend of his friend in Maui, and this guy has a small plantation of yerba mate, like on his property.
Yeah.
He's not growing it. I don't think he's growing it commercially, but I mean, he grows quite a bit. And I remember seeing pictures of him harvesting it, you know, like in the big tarps, like they do in South America.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Big tarp full of leaves. I think he's just growing it for like himself and maybe some friends. But I mean, that's pretty awesome. You know, they grow a lot of coffee in Hawaii. It'd be cool if they could, you know, grow a lot.
Oh yeah, definitely. I've heard some people saying that it would definitely grow in Hawaii, and now you just corroborated it. So Hawaii is definitely a hot spot for plant production.
Yeah, it's just little out of the way.
Little out of the way.
And then it's not very big, so I mean, I'm sure it would do fine in like Florida too.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Warm, you know.
I've had some people reach out to me not too long ago who told me that they told me outright that they were gonna try to grow mate in Florida, and I said, "Great, man. You know, that's awesome." I'd like to see what's gonna happen though. Like once these farms start to become established, what's gonna happen in terms of like the exportation out of South America? If it's gonna like eat away at that, I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to watch. I think we're still probably 10, 15 years away.
10, 15 years away, of course.
If even if it even gets off the ground.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm obviously I'm not trying to grow it commercially. It's just more of a, if anything, I feel like it'd make a cute house plant, you know.
Of course,
of course. Get it, you know. Obviously, I live now where it snows, so I can't plant it outside. But you know, you can get pretty big pots if I can get it to almost like a kind of bonsai, you know, get it to fully mature in a pot. You know, I figured it'd be fun, you know, maybe a kilo, you know.
Of course. Have your own little mate production.
it wouldn't replace, you know, me buying it, but I think it'd be just kind of cool, you know. So it'll be an interesting experiment. I know Clark tried it, but then I think he forgot to water it, and then it died. So I don't think that was the mate's fault.
Yeah. So Steven, since we got you on here, and you know you're all about the yerba mate from South Brazil, why don't you tell the community just some of the fundamental differences between, like, say, Argentine mate and mate coming out of southern Brazil?
Yeah, I mean, you've done a pretty good job, you know, talking about it, but you know, I just kind of to revisit some of that stuff. Obviously, you know, the color is the first thing that people usually notice. You can't really tell. The lighting's in here is not very good, but you know, this is really, really, really bright green. This is very fresh stuff. Argentine stuff, you know, they let it age, you know, a couple of months, 9 months, depending. I've actually heard a lot of the companies they'll do almost like an accelerated aging.
Yeah, that's happening now. Yeah, in Argentina.
They almost do it in like silos with like fans and stuff, so that they can age.
Just takes a couple weeks.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot. Like a lot of them are actually starting to do that. I mean,
yeah.
Some people say they can taste the difference. I don't know if I could, but yeah. So obviously, you know, Brazilian yerba mate is not aged. It's packaged, you know, right after drying. It's very powdery usually. It takes a little more technique to prepare it, but the fundamentals of how to prepare it, you know, it's pretty similar to the way that you would prepare an Argentine gourd. You just have to kind of let it sit maybe a little longer, you know, because you pour in the cold water and you let your gourd sit when you do an Argentine brew. But with chimarrón, you kind of do have to make sure that the water really does get absorbed in there, and it kind of forms a little brick of mate, a little cement house, if you will. And then, you know, you put in your straw, you put in your hot water, your bomba, and then you're good.
Actually, you made a video, your most recent video on making yerba mate. You mind if we play it now?
Yeah, go for it.
The community?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. You have the link on hand anywhere close?
Not close, but I can get
Let me go search for it.
I'll race you.
That way people can see it now. Cool.
Where do I paste it?
Post it in the group chat, and then I'm going to click on it and then do a screen share.
Okay.
Do you see that chat on the right side of your
yeah.
screen? Do you have that on your screen? Yeah.
Yep. I just sent it.
All right, cool. So let me open this.
I think this is the inverted, right? That's the one you wanted?
Yeah.
Okay.
Many people have told me that they learned a lot from this video right here.
Good.
So it's going to be worth playing it.
Good. I'm glad people are watching it.
Let me do a screen share and get this going. Okay. Steven, let me know if you could see
I can see
that video on your screen.
It's there.
Okay. Now let me just navigate. All right, folks, this is how you prepare it. Let's watch this. Nice. Do you prefer this method? Is this your go-to method now, or do you kind of switch it up?
I switch it up.
Nice. That's a nice method, man.
And actually, people will often post, there's a group down in southern Brazil that kind of, tries to educate the public about, the traditional aspects. Something's going.
Oh, sorry, bro. Hold on 1 second. Let me kill that background.
Sounds like the Guri Uruguayana.
Sorry, bro. What were you saying?
Oh, no.
There's a group?
Yeah, there's a group in southern Brazil. They're called the Escola do Chimarrão, the Chimarrão School. And they tour around the country, teaching people about the traditions of Chimarrão, trying to keep the culture and the traditions alive. And people will post photos of what they do. They basically cover, like a picnic table in chimarrão powder, and then they'll have 16 different ways you can prepare the match. And people will always ask oh, how do you make all those crazy, different ways? And it's actually almost every single one is based on that exact method where you put, the herb in first, and then you put in the water, and then you put in the straw. And then the only difference is what you do with the powder that you put on top, whether you mold it into a soccer ball, or you open it up to make the inverted, or you drill a little hole in the top. So all of the different ways are actually based on that technique. So it's pretty simple. Once you've mastered one, you can pretty much do them all.
Now, what's up with the designs? Is that kind of akin to what people do with the latte art?
Yeah.
Basically the same thing, right?
Yeah. It serves most of them don't serve any function. They're just something kind of cool that you can do.
Now, let me ask you, what's going on with the star anise? Why does everyone put the star anise on top?
A little decoration. I think they like obviously, the pod. It has the seeds. They like the flavor of the seeds in their match. So I think they just put the little star on top because it looks pretty. I don't know. I personally don't like anise that much. I don't really like licorice, so anise doesn't really do it for me. But yeah, no, I think it's just a little cute thing.
Just kind of like little tidbit, just kind of like the little guys, the little puppets they put on top.
Yep.
Nice, man. At first, I thought that was more of like a tamper, like people tamp the mate with
Oh
that,
yeah. No, I
but it's
totally.
more for just show, right? It's just
Yeah,
kind of
just
fun.
kind of just a way to personalize your mate.
Yeah. Now, I think I asked you this like 6 months ago on our first discussion. What was the first mate you ever had? What was your first experience ever drinking mate?
First experience was in the United States with an Argentine family, and I'm pretty sure it was Tarawi. It
Mm-hmm.
was either Tarawi or Rosa. I can't remember because the Yerba was in a Ziploc. So,
Yeah.
I mean, but thinking back, I think it was Tarawi because it didn't taste like Rosa. But yeah, no, I mean, we were at an Argentine family's house, and we were sitting waiting for dinner to be ready, and they're like, "Hey, have you guys tried mate?" And we're like, "No, what's that?" And they're like, "You guys want to try it?" And we're like, "Yeah, sure, I'm down for anything." And they bring it out, and you got a weird metal pipe and a bag full of leaves, and you start going, we got to close the door. We got to close the windows. What's going on here? They explained that it's just a tea, and they made it, served it up, and it was really really hot. And they put sugar in it, which is pretty common for Argentinos.
Mm-hmm.
I remember thinking like, wow, this is really hot. I wish I could taste it, but it's too hot.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I didn't mind it. I didn't think it was bad. Just that it was hot, and
So, what made you continue after that experience, though? Like, you just
um,
curious?
yeah, I was curious. They told me, you can find it in any shop. And then right after that, I went to go live in Brazil, and then lo and behold, Brazil had it too. So I was like, oh, I know what that is. That's mate. And they're like, yeah, well, this is tereré. It's cold. And I'm like, oh, cool, it's cold. That sounds tasty. Tried that, and then got into chimarrão. I remember had like a 4 or 5 month pilgrimage searching for really good chimarrão. Bought a lot of really bad chimarrão, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of really old stale stuff, and
Yeah.
eventually found some vacuum sealed bricks of the Barão, and then been
That was it.
On the chimarrão train ever since.
Uh-huh. Nice, man. Now, here's another super general question. What sort of person do you think drinks yerba mate? What sort of person is drawn to yerba mate? Or,
Um,
like if you were to kind of stereotype, open, friendly, in a friendly way,
I assume you're talking in the U.S., right?
Yeah, let's say the US.
Outside of the Southern Cone,
Yes.
outside of a country that traditionally drinks it. I think people who drink mate usually fall into help me. I think there's a couple of groups I think that are drawn to it.
Yeah.
The hipsters love it because it's
Yep.
weird and unique, and it makes people kind of turn their head when you see it happen. I think there's the health conscious people. They want to get off the coffee or whatever, however they're getting their energy boost, and they want to try a healthier alternative. And then I think the third group would just be the people that probably just stepped into it accidentally. Maybe people who like to travel,
Yeah.
go to South America, and maybe they're not super worried about their health, or they're they don't really care if they're really hip and cool. They just try it and they like it. I mean, that's probably the first two are more concrete
Hmm.
stereotypes, I think. But yeah, I think that's probably encompasses a lot of people who drink mate
No, I
maybe.
like that. I like that. Now, do you think that mate plays any part? Because you seem like a creative person. So, do you think that mate plays any part in generating ideas, thought processes, things along that nature, or is it plays no part at all? What would
Oh
you
no,
say?
it definitely plays a purpose. And even obviously the chemicals in it, the theobromine, the all the different xanthines that are in there, kind of
Hmm.
make you feel good, make you feel relaxed, and you're going to be more apt to think, if you're relaxed and calm, or and got a nice, you, I don't want to use the word buzz, but you have a nice energy lift, you know
Yeah.
um and even outside of the just the chemical aspect of it, having rituals, having little daily traditions, I think allows you to kind of be a more creative person. Every day you do the same thing, and while you're in that process, you don't have to think about it anymore. You kind of think about other stuff, and it just kind of generates the cycle of the xanthines, the caffeine. You get that brightness, that clarity of mind. You've got that tradition that you're going through these motions every day, and it kind of makes you think. It's kind of like meditating, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, every once in a while, people write me and say, Dave, mate doesn't work for me anymore. Like I reached this plateau. What's going on? Why isn't it working? And for me personally, I've been drinking mate for 6.5 years, almost every day. And I can honestly say I never had that experience where I thought that mate wasn't working for me anymore. I never thought I was never drinking it for a specific reason for mate to do something for me. It was just I love the plant, I love the taste, I love just experiencing mate. Now, let me ask you this. Did you ever have a situation like that where you were like, mate doesn't work for me anymore, so what's going on? Or was it just that never came into your mind?
No, that never came into my mind. But I think like you, I didn't drink mate to ditch coffee, or I didn't try to drink it for the energy. I actually have a extremely high tolerance to caffeine. I'm that type of person that can literally drink 3 rock stars and then go to bed.
Go to sleep.
Yeah, I've never really drank it for a reason other than I really I love the taste. I think the culture is really amazing. I think the gourds and I think the cuyas and the bombas are really cool, so I collect them. But yeah, it was never a solution to a problem of mine. It was just kind of something that I adopted into my lifestyle. That being said, there have been times where maybe I'll go somewhere and I won't be able to drink it for like 2 weeks, and then I'll come back to it. And that first time I drink it after a couple of weeks that I haven't drunk it, and I'll be like, wow, this is good stuff. Why I keep drinking this. If it was just a collector thing, lots of people collect green tea, the cast iron teapots, but they don't drink that much green tea. For me, if it was just a thing about collecting, I can collect whatever I want. I don't have to drink it to collect it. But I think there is a reason that I sipping it every day. So
Now a lot of North Americans are always concerned about how much mate could I drink, and what I always tell them is this, and then I'd like to get what you would tell them. I always tell them, I don't tell them exactly how much to drink. I just say, listen, millions of people drink 2 to 3 to 4 liters of yerba mate every single day in South America, millions of people. And that's always my response to the question, really, just saying, there's millions of people who drink that amount. So if anyone ever asks you that question, how would you respond? Like, how much yerba mate could I drink every day?
I would tell them, you drink as much as your body tells you it wants to drink. If you've been sipping on it for a couple hours and you pick up that gourd and your body just is like, oh my, you're done for the day. I think it differs from person to person. I think my record to this point, I think I hit about 8 liters in one day.
Jeez.
So talk about no, yeah, it was like 3 liters of Tereré in the morning, went to a friend's house, had another liter of Shimahang, went to another guy's house. Yeah, it was a.
Did you feel like, let me ask you how, because I've had one of those days, a couple of those days in Argentina when I had let's say 5 liters. And I have to say, every time I had 5 liters on one of those days, I wasn't drunk or anything, but I definitely felt it was weird. It was I felt like my body was just kind of buzzing in a way where it doesn't buzz if I just have 1 or 2 liters. It was kind of I felt kind of floaty, not in a bad high way or anything like that, but I definitely felt different those days when I had 5 liters. Did you ever feel any difference, or for you it was just your body handled it very well?
I think I just felt pretty normal. There was kind of that little kind of a giddy feeling, oh my gosh, I just drank 2 gallons of water, basically 2 gallons of liquid. But it wasn't anything out of the ordinary or anything like that. No, it was pretty normal. But like I said, the biggest physical change was that I was literally going to the bathroom every 15 minutes. It makes it hard to carry on a normal day.
Oh yeah. It's funny because there's a couple mate companies. Well, they're not even mate companies. They're tea companies. I'm not going to mention their names, but they use mate specifically for promoting diet drinks to lose weight. And they're doing very well. They're big companies. They're big on Instagram. And they built this whole campaign around yerba mate to lose weight. And personally, yes, I do think that mate could help someone lose weight. I think it could do a lot of things for people. But I kind of wanted to get your feedback on if you were to say the top 3 things that mate does for a person in terms of health benefits, what would you say? And of course, this is just your own opinion. Everybody, this is just educational information, so don't take it literally. Consult with your own doctors.
Yeah. No, I think first and foremost, it's going to hydrate you. There's a really popular myth that if you drink a caffeinated beverage, it dehydrates you. That's not really true, because while caffeine does dehydrate you, there is a lot of water in any caffeinated beverage. Even drinking like a Coke, like that will still hydrate you. It's a pretty popular myth that drinking a gallon, or not a gallon, but drinking like a liter of Coke, is pulling out more water. That's just not true. Are there better ways to become hydrated than drinking a lot of soda? Of course. But so yeah, I think that's the first health benefit. That's the across the board. I think if you drink mate, you're going to be more hydrated because you're drinking liquid. No brainer. Number 2, I think health benefits. I think if you don't have a very good diet, if you eat a lot of processed foods, I think it's going to help you kind of balance that out. Mate's got a lot of vitamins and nutrients. Kind of another contrary to popular belief, the supplement industry, is really, really big, especially in the United States. But what a lot of people don't realize is most of us do pretty well on the vitamins and nutrients bit. We're pretty good. Especially now, even candy's got vitamins in it. They're sticking them everywhere, so we do pretty good. About getting enough. So, but if someone really just was eating garbage, yerba mate is chock full of vitamins and minerals, and it's going to help you out there. You're not going to get scurvy, you're not going to get whatever. Third health benefit, I think it's going to help you, and I know you've talked about this a lot, I think it's going to help you kind of kick that dependency on sweet. A lot of people, they drink sweet mate, but I've never drank sweet mate that I ever really felt was actually sweet. They kind of add a little sugar to take the edge off. Excuse me. Just to kind of take the edge of the bitterness off.
Yeah.
But I've never drank mate and thought, whoa, that tastes like candy.
Yeah.
So I think that'll help. They get accustomed to more bitter stuff, and they'll be more likely to try maybe kale or more vegetables, and they'll be, their palate will be used to things that aren't super sugary, super sweet, and they'll be able to see how something that is kind of earthy and bitter can be really delicious. So that will lead them to make healthier choices about what they're eating as well. So
nice.
Hydration, vitamins and minerals, and kind of shaping the palate toward more healthy choices.
Nice, man. I totally agree. And speaking of sweet mate, when I was living in Argentina, I was living in this neighborhood at one point called Palermo in Argentina. And in Palermo, in particular, in my opinion, everyone there was drinking sweet mate, sweet, very sugary, sweet yerba mate. And when I first started drinking mate, literally, that's all I knew. I only knew sweet yerba mate. So that was what I was drinking, I think, for about maybe the first 6-7 months, just sweet yerba mate. And then one day I was drinking mate with this one girl, and she was like, you know what? Let's just drink regular yerba mate. And she said the word, what was the word? My gosh. Basically, like what an Uruguayan would say, amargo. Let's drink an amargo. Let's drink a bitter. There was another word for it. I forgot the name right now in Spanish, in Argentine Spanish. And I remember that one day when I started drinking it, bitter, amargo, and that was it for me. Like, something about it just was like, yeah, that makes more sense. Drink it pure yerba mate. For me, I felt like that's when I felt the effects more. But people ask me oftentimes, they're like, is it okay to put sugar in my mate? Is it okay to put honey? And my response, it's okay, sure. I mean, drink mate however you want to drink it. But I do kind of recommend to people that if you can, try to give your body a chance to appreciate it bitter, to appreciate it just raw, because I have this whole theory that, at first you may not like it a little bitter, but stick with it for a week or two, and then all of a sudden your body and mind's going to be like, yeah, bitter is the way to go, and you don't look back.
Sure.
Did you ever have that experience with people telling you they couldn't handle it bitter?
Yeah, and I'll tell them, add some sugar if you really, really can't handle it, or add some honey, But yeah, no, what I've actually found is people that I've tried, showing mate to, they'll usually try it, sweet for a couple of weeks, and they'll come back and they'll talk to me, and, they're like, I'm kind of sick of it, And
Yeah.
I'm like, well, have you tried it bitter? And they're like, no, I'll give it a try. And then they end up liking it. It's not, there's something about, drinking, a liter of a kind of a hot, sticky, sweet beverage that kind of makes someone, not want to drink as much of it, and kind of they get sick of it a little bit. And then, but they get used to the taste, they get used to the flavor profile of the yerba. So then when they try it bitter, it's just kind of, this, whoa, I can drink a lot of this and I don't really get sick of it. It's not like eating a whole bunch of candy, I don't get a kind of a cloying taste in my mouth. And I was pretty lucky that that first time I tried mate, they prepared it dulce, but pretty much every other time that I had it up until I kind of got established by myself, everyone else made it without sugar. When I was in Brazil, I started drinking tereré with some paraguayos, and paraguayos put sugar in their tereré nunca. So never, ever, ever. So I got very quickly got used to the bitterness, and so even when I moved on to chimarrão, I never ever thought to even put sugar in it. Now I lived in São Paulo, and in São Paulo they really do like to drink their tereré with homemade, limeade basically.
Yeah.
So, I have drank plenty of tereré with juice, but I always go back to just water, ice, maybe some chuchos, some extra herbs, some medicinal herbs in there, and then the mate.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel kind of lucky that I wasn't kind of thrown into it in sweet and had to crawl my way back into bitter. Basically, just kind of thrust into the world of bitter and forced to deal with it.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you, man. I remember. So for those of you guys watching that don't know what tereré is, it's basically the Paraguayan version of mate. It's cold mate. They usually add ice, herbs, local herbs, and they drink it cold with usually with the bombisha and a metal aluminum cup. The first time I had tereré, I remember it was 2012, and what threw me off about it, with no offense to my roommates in Argentina at the time, but they basically got like the sweetest orange juice that you could find, fruit punch, all sorts of sweet things. And I don't know, I'm not a big sweet person, so and then basically they got the ice, and then they got this cooler, and they threw that all in there, and then we had mate, and they just used that as the mate water, so it was all pure cold. And for me, it was overwhelmingly sweet, and it kind of threw me off, and it left a lasting impression to this day, where I really don't drink tereré that much. But if I were to drink it and get back into it, which I probably will, I'm going to do something more like what you just said. And basically, I like to keep it simple. Something with like lime, ice, maybe some peppermint, and then the mate, drink that cold. I like that. And that's something I could see myself getting more into. But I'm also a big fan of just making cold yerba mate iced tea. And guys, whoever's watching this, that's something that you could do. Remember, mate doesn't have to be consumed the traditional way with the gourd and bombisha. You could literally, remember, it's just an herb. So you could prepare it just like how you would prepare any other herb. You can make iced tea, make it with a French press, make it with a teapot, make it just with a regular pot over the stove rather. Hot water over the stove, heat it up until the little bubbles start popping up. Throw in some yerba mate, let that steep 15-20 minutes. Get yourself a pasta strainer, any strainer, flour strainer, a flour sifter, and just boom, there you go. You have instant yerba mate. One of the things that I find, and I'm going to get your opinion on this too, for new yerba mate drinkers, is that they get kind of overwhelmed when they see the gourd, they see the bombisha, and they don't know what to do. They feel like they have to go read all these books. They feel like they have to go ask a million questions, which is okay. Don't get me wrong. I mean, that's how I learned. But what would be your advice to someone who is feeling kind of overwhelmed right now? They just found out about yerba mate, perhaps through one of our videos, your video, my video, Circle of Drink, who knows, Guayaquil. What would be your advice to get them started? Would you say go the traditional route? Would you say just go buy a pound of mate and make it over the stove. What would be your advice to someone fresh, someone new?
Yeah, I know. I'd probably just first of all tell them to relax. It'll be okay. It's a lot. There's a lot of information out there, but I think it's just whatever method they gravitate to. If the gourd and the bombisha, kind of freaks them out a
Hmm.
little bit. They watch all the videos and they're like, oh man, it looks really hard. I have to do this and that and be careful of this. That's fine. You can go for a French press. If you don't want to buy a French press, yeah, just throw some leaves in a pot of water. You talked about mach leon in the past, the chá mach or Brazilian
Yeah.
mate cocido, and yeah, 90% of the Brazilians who make that, they have basically a kind of looks like a really tall pot with a handle. Throw some water on, heat it up, and then they just sprinkle a bunch of leaves in there, and then they
Yeah.
run it through a sieve, and that's how they make their mate cocido or their chamate in Portuguese. So
Hmm.
it's whatever is the way that you're gonna drink it. If you can't be buggered to go out and
Yeah.
buy a French press, you have a pot of, you probably have a
That's
stove,
it.
you more than likely have a sieve in your house. So do that, until you get comfortable, until you get your foot, in the door. And going back to
Mhm.
what you said, no offense to Argentines, but Argentine tereré is really bad.
Sweet man.
Every single time I've had it, yeah, it's the same thing. It's like the orange tang,
Mhm. Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah. Orange Tang.
and like the kind of I've even had it with Tampico, which is it's like Sunny D. It's not good. I mean, if that, no offense, if you like it, that's great. You do you, but yeah, no, it was way too sweet. And it seems like Argentina is really the only place that does tereré like
They
that.
love sweet, man. They have a sweet tooth in Argentina, you know?
Like even in Brazil when they do the limeade, it's pretty heavy on the lime. A little bit of sugar just to kind of make it not so sour, and they'll put shredded up mint leaves in there, and it's like refreshing and like very slightly sweet, or they'll even just do lime water and
Yeah.
but yeah, no. So kind of unfortunate that you had such a bad experience the first time you had tereré.
Yeah, that kind of
It
threw
is
me
good,
off,
man.
man. It was like just way too much, just like it was a fruit punch and then Sunny D basically, just like, oh, guys, no, 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 no.
Go get yourself a package of pajarito or curupi, and
Mm-hmm.
just get like a tall skinny glass, like a normal glass, and then just prepare it like you would regular mate, but with ice water. And
Yeah.
I think you'll have a better experience.
Yeah, man, you're right. And it's like, I guess we should make note of this for the people watching. You just mentioned Kurupi and another one would be La Rubia, I would suggest too.
Yeah, La Rubia
These
is
sort of
great.
Paraguayan mates, for those of you guys who aren't familiar with them, in my opinion, they're very unique. These mates. These mates show flavors of like cherry, tobacco, vanilla. They're kind of wild, in my opinion. These mates, very wild, kind of uncontrolled, very kind of not very, but they have sour notes to them.
Mm-hmm.
They're sweet. They're earthy, all in one. So Paraguayan mates, just to name a couple: Carupi, La Rubia, Selecta, Pajarito, Palo Alto.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of them. They're kind of unknown. They're not really like super popular as the Argentinian ones and even
Yeah.
the Southern Brazilian ones. But in my opinion, and many people would agree, these mates are the best mates to experience cold, to make the tereré mate out of it. And for you guys to do Google searches on tereré, how to make it. There's tons of videos out there.
I agree.
But definitely, I would suggest lean towards the Paraguayan mate for tereré.
Yeah. The interesting thing about Paraguayan Yerba as well, I found that like the taste varies the most between brands. Like
Yeah.
I mean, obviously
Yeah.
not, you can't make a blanket statement, but like Argentine Yerba, they kind of fall into, like two camps. They kind of fall into their, kind of robust, smoky, and then they're kind of light grassy. Pretty. You
Hmm.
can kind of make that dichotomy. Like Cruz. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Rosa. Okay, but
Yeah.
if you drink like Pajarito, Selecta, and like Federico, and like they taste completely different.
Yeah.
It's like they have nothing to do with each other, and you could almost like be mistaken if you thought like one was like another kind of tea because it just tastes so different. So
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know what it is about.
I have a theory, but I'll tell you after.
Okay. Yeah, there's something about Paraguayan herbs where one brand tastes very, very unique. Even the closest thing I found is Pajarito and La Rubia taste similar, but La Rubia is a lot more kind of floral and light and kind of bounces on your tongue, where Pajarito,
Yeah.
where it tastes very similar, it kind of hits you in the back of the throat.
Yep.
It kind of has those more like you were like cherry tones, a lot darker. But you can tell like, oh yeah, these kind of taste similar. But then you try Selecta and it's like, okay, this has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah. Now, I once read a report on the farming situation in Paraguay, and I was actually a little surprised to see that the average yerba mate farmer in Paraguay only owns about 1 to 3 acres of land. And so what's happening is, based upon this study that I read, a lot of the major, there's only maybe 2 or 3 or 4 big yerba mate companies in Paraguay. And basically what they do is they purchase the mate from hundreds of different individuals, family-owned little farms. And basically, as far as I could tell, what the report was suggesting was that these companies basically blend mates from different farms, from different regions of Paraguay. That's where you're going to get this crazy diversity of flavors. Like when you're drinking Paraguayan mate, the flavors are just all over the place. And I like that about Paraguayan mates. It makes it so fun. But my theory is that because there's such a diverse range of farms that are being basically sourced for the mate and kind of conglomerated into one brand, you're literally tasting the soil of so many different regions of Paraguay that grow yerba mate. So that's why I think you're going to get a lot of the diversity of flavors in Paraguayan mate.
That's interesting. I never knew that.
Yeah, only about 1 to 3 acres each family, and they're family owned. So, you know, a lot of these, they basically sign up the families. They say, okay, we'll sign you up to our farm, and every year when you produce, or every half a year, however it is, we're going to buy all your mate. And I believe that they blend it with others, which is cool. I think that's great. But that's my theory of why the diversity of flavors arise. Now, speaking about flavors of mate, some people think I'm crazy when I talk about mate in terms of wine, in terms of gourmet tea, in terms of coffee. But I honestly believe that yerba mate, the range and depths of flavors between the different, regions of mate, is nothing unlike. It's nothing short of, the range and complexity of flavors in wine, in my opinion. Did you ever think along those lines?
Yeah, no, I mean, it makes perfect sense because the difference that makes different wines taste different or anything like that, it's, the growing location, the way it's processed, the technique of the producer, sometimes, the type of barrels, that the product is stored in, and wine and mate, especially like Argentine or Uruguayan mate, it has a lot of those, kind of a one-to-one comparison where, differences in the soil, sure, difference in technique of the producer, sure, difference in the wood where they age these herbs, yeah, it's exactly, it's got a one-to-one, comparison there. So yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Right. All right, so I'm not the only one then. Now it's funny because that. What was that?
No, I was saying you've made some proclamations of things you've tasted that made me, even raise my eyebrow. But if I think I think there are some distinct and very subtle differences.
Yeah, I just want to make a little disclaimer for everybody out there. So when you guys hear me say, like something tastes like Lucky Charms or Fruity Pebbles, whatever, I got to tell you the truth. I'm really not making these things up. It would be so easy for me to make these things up, but it's not. I would never make something up, I literally go out and try to taste as many things as I could taste just to be able to detect taste in yerba mate. So when I detect Lucky Charms or marshmallows and, like burnt brown sugar, that's really what's conjuring up in my mind. That's what's coming in my mind. And, it really isn't that crazy. I mean, if you look at some of the descriptors of wine from people, modern wine sommeliers, talking about wine, you'll see that they're equally as crazy as I am. They're talking about all sorts of things like licking tennis balls, sweaty socks and things like that. And it really, if you look at it scientifically, this is not crazy because you have these things called aromatic compounds. Mm-hmm. And these aromatic compounds are not specifically tied to any one particular plant. So you could literally be tasting vanilla in one plant and an entirely different species be tasting vanilla as well because of these aromatic compounds. They're not species specific. They could be, exchanged throughout many different mediums of living strata. So I'm not crazy. I'm not making these things up. But
you might be crazy, but
I might be crazy. That's true. But I'm not making these things up.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, it's the same thing. Like, a lot of people don't know, like, artificial vanilla flavor that's made out of wood pulp.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's this, like, I can't remember if it is the vanillin, that is in vanilla beans, but it's either is the vanillin or a chemical, it tastes very similar to vanillin exists in many kinds of wood pulp. People kind of get weird about that, but I mean,
right.
It's the same deal.
I want to actually ask you, a lot of people talk about, when they get a gourd, especially a cuia, which is a gourd from southern Brazil. It's a calabash gourd from southern Brazil. For those of you guys that don't know.
Something like this.
There it is. That's it right there. They're basically thicker than the Argentine ones. Mm-hmm. And undoubtedly, almost every time, people get worried about mold and things like that. They think that it's bad. They have to throw it away. But let me tell you, in my opinion, I don't think there's ever a situation, hardly ever, where you would have to throw away a gourd because I don't care how much mold is in the cup. It could be restored. But I think people also need to understand that, as long as you clean out the gourd, even if there was mold in it and you drink from it, it's not going to kill you. Honestly, it's not going to. If you look at what mold really is, mold is not good. You don't want mold in your body. Obviously not.
It definitely doesn't taste good.
It doesn't taste good, and it's not healthy to have mold in your body. But if your gourd becomes a little bit moldy because you left it, it's brand new. Basically, mold can only grow in a damp environment, and it has to be the right environment. So when you have a new gourd and you just start using it, and then the next day it starts to get discolored a little bit, that's actually normal. That's natural. Mm-hmm. If there is any mold, which it probably isn't mold, it's probably just a result of oxidation. Oxidation just means oxygen is breaking down the organic plant matter, just like how if you cut an apple in half, the apple will start to turn brown. You see, it's dark in there.
Right there, yeah.
That's just oxidation, pure oxidation, and it's basically just chlorophyll staining the inside of the gourd. So you don't have to really worry about that. Now, if it becomes like furry and white hairs and all that stuff, yes, that is mold. That is an indicator of mold. But even at that point, all you have to do is flash the gourd with hot water, boiled hot water, and then just let it become bone dry, and then continue use after that. That, in my opinion, that's all you have to do. You don't have to throw the gourd away, nothing like that. So to make a long story short, I would say, for those of you out there who get worried when they see the discoloration, all that, it's most likely not mold. And even if it is mold, don't worry. The gourd can be saved. You don't have to throw it away. Just let it become dry, because mold, cannot grow in a dry environment. It's impossible. Cannot grow in a dry environment. If the strata, the material is totally dry, mold cannot grow. So don't worry. I know there's a lot of anxiety around this. I get questions about this all the time. So that's just my 2 cents on that. What would you say to people who get worried about the mold situation?
The thing is, if you have to ask if it's mold, it's probably not mold.
Right.
I always tell people, if there's mold in there, you will know. You will smell it. You will see it. Mold is not discreet.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, I agree with you. I think it is a very, very, maybe, I'm sure somewhere in the history of the world, someone has had a gourd that was so moldy that it had to go away. I'm sure one person somewhere out there has. But I think, in the vast majority of cases, it can be saved. Actually, there was a time in Brazil where I was using my favorite cuia, and I left it for a weekend. I forgot about it.
Yep.
It was kind of humid. So when I came back to clean it out, I mean, it was bad.
Yeah.
I mean, when I scraped out the Yerba, I mean, the whole thing was just a giant fuzzball.
Yeah.
Oh
Yep.
no! So
I've seen that.
I boiled some water. I threw it in. You know, I scraped it out. You know, I cleaned it all out. I patted it dry. I left it. What we would do is we would invert anything we wanted to dry. We would put behind the fridge because you know the coils in the back of the fridge generate a little bit of heat. So that was what we would use to dry things during the rainy season. So I put it there, got it bone dry, and it looked fine. And then I smelled it. And it still smelled like mold. It still smelled so bad. So what I did was I ended up just basically filling it with baking soda,
Yeah.
pouring a little bit of hot water, and just left it. And every day I'd trade out the baking soda, fill it with more warm water. And I did that for probably a week. And then it was fine. So, you know, yeah, it took a lot of work. But, you know, I was able to save my gourd and I still use it today. I've had that thing for, you know, almost 5 years now.
Yep.
But so, yeah, so just don't be so quick to throw it away. Don't be so quick to abandon.
No, man, I'm glad you shared that story because I know a lot of people are always asking questions. What's your feedback on obviously you're familiar, well, of course you are, with the traditional yerba mate circle with people sharing the bambisha. Do you think that that's something that could ever really take off in the United States where people are just sharing as openly as they are in South America here in the United States? Or are we too concerned with germs and cooties and all these things here? Or maybe it's just a matter of big divide in between our cultures, but just fundamentally different culture. And we shouldn't try necessarily to replicate what another culture is doing.
You know, I think within certain circles of people, I think, you know, they would be perfectly fine with passing around the gourd. And, you know, a lot of the going back to those kind of, you know, stereotypes that we were talking about, you know, I think a lot of hipsters would probably be pretty down to pass a gourd. You know, they're probably passing a lot of other things that, you know, they're putting to their mouths and not cleaning off afterwards. So, you know, you know, if they want to say anything about that, they're hypocrites. So, you know, I think there's already, you know, kind of a large subculture that's okay with that. Speaking as the vast majority of Americans, though, I don't know. I really do think maybe the cultural divide there is maybe a little too large. You know, we're a country of hand sanitizer and, you know, Clorox wipes, and, you know, and that's fine. You know, you want to keep yourself healthy, and, you know, if there's someone in the circle who's sick, you know, maybe you probably shouldn't share with them. You know, some people say it's okay. I personally probably wouldn't.
Yeah,
I've actually gotten sick that way. People say it's impossible to get sick that way, but I have gotten sick that way. So
that's very possible.
Yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense, right? They always say like, oh yeah, the silver is antibacterial, or the water's so hot that it kills the bacteria. It's like, well, silver is antibacterial, but the bacteria have to sit for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So, you know, but yeah, no, you have to be careful. But yeah, I don't know if it'll ever be as common among American drinkers of mate as it is, you know, down south.
Well, when I first got back to United States after several years in South America, I have to say that I would say 95% of the people who I exposed mate to, like physically, at first they were like, I don't really want to drink mate like that. Like, could I just have a cup of it? I'm like, sure. But I would say after a few months of like really talking to them about what mate is, and then them seeing me drink mate, it got to the point where they not only wanted to share yerba mate out of the bambisha, but they wanted to be their own server or cebador. As a cebador, everybody is the person who essentially creates the yerba mate, inserts the bambisha, creates the situation inside, adds the hot water, and then he or she basically conducts what we call the yerba mate circle, where people sit down in a circle usually, and they share yerba mate. They pass it. The server passes it to his or her right or left. I say the right. And then once that person's done, they pass it back to the server, or cebador in Spanish. And the cebador prepares another gourd and then passes it to that person's right, so on and so forth, until it comes back to the cebador, and then the cebador drinks the mate once again. So that's the traditional way that I was exposed to yerba mate in South America, in Buenos Aires in particular. And that's the tradition that I brought back when I brought back, you know, my little style of what I learned of yerba mate. I brought that back here in New York and started sharing with people in that fashion. Most people were taken aback at first. They were like, nah. But then after a couple months, they were like, yes, they were all about it. So for those of you guys out there who are watching and who are contemplating having yerba mate circle, but there may be some sort of apprehension because you may not feel so prone to sharing this straw with people, I would say this: have a circle, invite people over, and you drink yerba mate the traditional way. And for those people who want to participate, with you with the Bombisha, then go ahead, pass the gourd. But also tell them, hey, you could drink mate out of a teacup. Here's some mate that is prepared for you out of the teapot. Here's a glass. Drink it this way. So, like Steven said, don't be so anxious with these things. Just kind of relax. There's so much room to grow and to learn. There's nothing for you to worry about. There should be no anxiety here. With just mate, mate makes you chill. Mate makes you relax. So keep that in mind. That's the spirit of mate. No tension. Just helps bring people together. So I'm personally happy to see the tradition of yerba mate growing in the United States and in Europe as well, and Middle East, all over the place. But I'm also very open to seeing how a lot of older people, people who are a little bit past, 40s and 50s, I like how they aren't so much about the tradition. That's okay. I like to see them just drink mate traditionally from a French press or from a teapot. Mm-hmm. I always say, some mate is better than no mate. Just get it in your system and don't feel confined to the gourd. Don't feel confined to the yerba mate Bombisha. Just get some in your system. That's what I like to promote.
Mm-hmm. And actually, there's an idea that I've kind of had is, even if you do have a circle of friends that want to try mate, but they are a little, uncomfortable with, sharing the Bombisha, something that you can do is to kind of replicate the effect, but keep it all, sterile and fine, is everyone has their own cup. And then one person basically works the air pot or the teapot. They pass their teacup to you, you fill it, and then you pass it back to them. So it still kind of has that.
I like that
circle mentality, that kind of, passing stuff around and talking, but at the same time, everyone's got their own little deal. So that's that's another thing you could toy with too.
That's awesome, man. Steven, man, it's been great, bro. We had a nice little conversation right now, and it's always a fun time talking with you, to sharing your expertise and with the world, and to go back and forth. And I hope people continue to follow Circle of Drink and follow your videos. Let people know what's your YouTube channel.
My YouTube channel is Mr. Steven Full. It's Mr. Steven Stephen, and then Full Full. And then actually, really soon, probably like maybe even this week, Clark, also on Circle of Drink, we're going to start a podcast about mate. It's nice. Tentatively, I think it's going to be called the Mate Guys. And we're going to be recording that, putting it out on iTunes or SoundCloud or somewhere. So once that gets going, I'm sure I'll post the link on the Circle of Drink group so people can start listening to that. And we want to get that going, just as a regular thing, to just, we just want more discourse out there, more information. It might be the same information, but sometimes people, like to listen to podcasts on
the more the better
or something. Yeah. So we just want to add to the rich,
of course,
fountain of not youth, but information.
Of course, man. So guys, everyone watching this, definitely follow Steven. Very powerful Matero. He has a lot to share, and especially if you're interested in yerba mate, he's the guy. He knows a lot about it, has an abundance of information, which I've learned a lot from him already. So just share the love, and we'll keep this going. And I hope to have you back on the show again, this little Mate Circle again. Yeah. And I hope to be on your podcast eventually once you get that going.
We definitely want to have guests on there. So
yeah, that'd be great. So salud, brother. And I'll see you at the next one.
Yep.
Thanks, man. I'll see you soon, all right?
See ya. Bye-bye.
Ciao.